In this video, I'd like to show you some agricultural features north of Lordsburg, up by the marks in this picture. But first, if you look at the bottom by Lordsburg, there's a mark. I'm going to zoom down on this set of features by Lordsburg in this bare spot of ground and show you that there are contour features here. There's a canal running down and that there's a reservoir at the top. So this is right outside Lordsburg. Now let's go north and look at what's up here in this area that's called the Lordsburg Mesa. Off to the right is the slope of the Burro Mountains. It slopes upward, and up to the corner is the Gila River. So all that gray area slopes down to the river and consists probably of gravelly ridges and some small mountain ranges. But up here on the Lordsburg Mesa, there are some interesting features. There's fields in the middle of this screen. There's fields off to the left. There's fields up in the right upper corner. And then this red line is a large berm or embankment that catches water that would go off the embankment and then diverts it back into this reservoir that's in the middle of the picture. So first I'm going to zoom in on this set of fields at the bottom of the fan coming off the mountains. You can see a whole bunch of contour features here again. These are berms with ditches behind them. Some of them are pretty faint at the bottom of the slope because they're probably not completed yet. Others are pretty obvious. As we look closer at these, you can see this V shape. So I've seen a lot of these features like this in southern New Mexico now. And these V-shaped ones appear to gather water at the bottom of one section of field. And then it allows you to either send the water straight down a ditch down the middle or into the next field below. And I want to remind people that the milpa system of agriculture that the Aztecs used, you would grow on a plot of land for 2 years and then you would let it sit fallow for 8 years. So you're growing on about 20% of your land at any one time. The features themselves, the ditch and the berm together, are about 45 feet across on these that look to be finished. The fainter ones appear to be unfinished and are only about 25 feet across. As we zoom out and look eastward back towards the Burro Mountains, you can see these canals that come down off the slope to feed these fields. The fields I was just showing you is right in the middle of this picture. And there's the canal, how it runs through this field system. And as you can see, there are a number of reservoirs in this area. Now, as we go from these fields and we follow the canal up that feeds these fields, I want you to look on the left and you'll see quite a few reservoirs and dams again, and canals running off to the left. As we get farther up, you'll see the same on the right, more reservoirs and canals coming into the picture. As we go up, it hooks a little bit to the left and we come to the dam and reservoir from which this canal is fed. You can see other canals, the one that feeds in and another that goes off in another direction. This dam has been breached and the water now is entrenching down an arroyo, and then it meets back up with the canal again. And when you look up close, you can see that this is definitely a fairly large ditch. They're about 30 to 40 feet across. You can see the erosion on the left side going down into the bottom of the ditch. Now I want to zoom into the very north tip of the Lordsburg Mesa. This is where that berm I was telling you about is. It runs all along the scarp, and then there's canals there that divert the water into this reservoir right into the middle. Now at the tip of Lordsburg Mesa is the high point. So this appears to be how the water flows. It comes down off of Burro Mountains. At the end of this field system, it gets diverted up to the north and into the reservoir. Water that falls on the very north tip of this mesa then gets caught in that berm system and diverted back into this reservoir. And then water from this reservoir can be used to water this arroyo that runs off to the southwest, which goes all the way down to Lordsburg. So I'm going to kind of turn it around and then zoom in here and work kind of to the right, which would be towards the southwest. And you can see right along this scarp there's this berm. As we zoom in more, it becomes more obvious, and you can see it's fairly substantial. It's about 50 feet across, including the scrape coming down off the slope. They just scraped dirt down into a berm to catch the water, and then they ran it around the heads of these arroyos. And this shows what I think is the water flow in this feature. As we follow it around, you'll see that it winds around out onto all these little prominent points here and then back around the heads of arroyos. Now I'm going to go back out to the point where we started and work my way to the left. But first you can see there's this kind of strange rock feature, two lines of rock. But if we go around and follow this, you'll see again it follows kind of the contour of the scarp. Gets pretty obvious in some photos. This is a pretty substantial feature. If you look at how it winds around and consider how large it is, that would be quite a few man-hours to build, even if you had built it with a backhoe or a bulldozer. Why anybody in historic times would want to try to catch every ounce of water that was going to run off onto the scarp, I don't know. Finally, I want to zoom out, and up in the right-hand corner you can see that high point at the north tip of the Lordsburg Mesa. So if you come back down here to the southwest, all this area has that weird striping again, which can't be anything but agricultural fields as far as I'm concerned. So look at some of these. In summary, as we look at this area I just showed you, I want people to think about the implications of what I've been showing you in southern New Mexico. There are these features everywhere. They cover literally hundreds of thousands, if not millions of acres. They ignore property lines. There's sophisticated systems of agriculture. There's tens of thousands of reservoirs in these areas. What's more likely? Prehistoric agriculturalists that were here for 1,500 years, or some homesteaders and ranchers? I don't know any time in historic times when there would be this many people out here. I just cannot come up with any other explanation other than this is prehistoric agriculture.